Okay.
Oh,
I've never heard her make that sound before.
yeah, either. Maybe that's one of my savings, one of my things.
Okay, great. Oh my gosh, I feel so nervous about this. I don't even know
I
what.
know. I'm like, well, I guess I'll sit up straight.
Okay. Okay, so I'll ask the question and then 4 minutes will go by and we'll just it'll be great. Okay.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
Hi, Renellta.
Hi.
So I want to know, what are some qualities that make a good leader to you?
Mm. I think what we've chatted about before is just that ability to listen, like, and hear, and being generous. So I think being a generous listener, and also understanding that there's always a bigger picture. So that's when I talk about that grace, that allowing yourself to kind of go, this is what's happening, but how does that serve the greater picture? How does that serve us uh, in the longer run? So being able to kind of be in the moment, being present, deep listening well, being responsive and generous, but then stepping back and looking at the grace of a situation. So I think those are two really strong elements of leadership. And not being afraid to get in there and do the work. I think that's another huge one. There are leaders that micromanage, which are really always kind of challenging to work with. But the leaders that can trust and empower the staff and their collaborators is always a really great way of trusting that they'll be able to do the work and that people can bring them their best selves to the work.
I love
And
that.
not afraid to get coffee, being not afraid to get coffee and pull out the broom if it needs to come out.
I love that. It feels like there's like two like sites happening at all time, like the individual and the bigger picture, the community, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. So what is your wildest dream for Indigenous theater and arts in Canada?
Wildest dream. Wildest dream. There's a few, but I think the biggest one is that being able to have an organization that gets $10 million or gets $20 million every year to do the work that's Indigenous-led work. So when we look at the large institutions, it's nothing for them to ask for that amount of money and get that amount of money and to get the donor support, government support, and provincial and territorial support. So what is it for an Indigenous organization that's ran by and led by, that receives that kind of funding to create that form of legacy art that can really be part of Canada's landscape? So I mean, that's my wildest dream. I actually don't think it's outrageous. I think it's becoming more and more possible by people like yourself that are starting to be involved and do this kind of work. And I think the greater landscape of non-Indigenous that are really starting to see the value of Indigenous story. So that's one of my wildest dreams. The other would be that we could fill all of those spaces with Indigenous staff and employees. So that means designers, sound designers, set designers, costume designers. That means tech, producers, stage managers, art administrators, grant writers. So really being able to foster and grow all areas of the arts industry with Indigenous leadership and yeah, skills for sure. So that would be my big dream that way.
Mm-hmm. I hope we see that. I think we're on our way. I hope so.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to know how you would describe success.
That's such a good question. It's challenging because when you work hard and you see areas of growth and need, and you work to create those opportunities to be able to kind of fill those gaps, I don't think you ever really stop seeing them. And so the more work that I do as an arts leader and as a creator, I see the gaps every time I start working in a new area, and I go, oh, we need to work on filling that gap or getting the opportunity to create space or to create Indigenous space for that. And so I think success for me is never really a success. I don't think I ever sit on my laurels and go, oh, that's really successful.
Mm.
But what I do see as successful is that that there's a lot more opportunities being given to I guess what would be successful is being able to bring my whole self to something. I think you and I have had these conversations where when we're always brought to bring a certain aspect of ourselves into the room, but when we're able to bring all of our abilities, multi-dis, our mind, our bodies, and our skills into the room, I think that is successful. So it's not, we're not bringing Julie the actor in, but not acknowledging Julie the singer, or, you know, Julie the assistant director. It's being able to kind of go like, let's bring Julie the artist in and create this work and see what can happen from that. And being all these different, bringing all abilities into the space to be able to kind of share who we are, I think is quite successful, because I think as Indigenous people or BIPOC we're often asked to bring portions of ourselves that meet the mold of what's being around us, rather than going like, we should bring our whole selves to the work and not just partially.
I agree with that. I think that makes a successful room. It gives that idea that you're able to dream as big as you possibly can, and to have those wildest dreams when you're able to bring your whole self and everyone else brings their whole self to a project. I think that's awesome. Thank you so much for your wonderful words and all of your knowledge and your time. You've been so generous, and I just appreciate it so much. Marcy.
It's been a pleasure.